Yo guys, Synergist here. I wanted to put together a SPR versus DK Preg pseudo guide, um, just because I think this comp is such a plague on the ladder, and it does, it's a very challenging matchup for SPRs. Anything with a DK pretty much hard counters double DPS. So these aren't like my best games. I just kind of wanted to throw together like a data dump of a bunch of different things to give you guys different ideas, see different ways that we've played this. Some of these games are older, and so they aren't using, or we didn't use the strategy that we use now, which I'll go over in a second. But just keep that in mind that I just wanted to kind of throw a bunch of different things on there, so that you guys could see. So the strategy we use today kind of uses a few different principles, a few different things to consider when you're playing against this comp. Number one, never overextend. You will not win the head-to-head battle. They're just too tanky. And then the Preg, of course, is throwing out heals. They just have too many cooldowns defensively. So we try to set up a go, and then they pop a cooldown, and we run. Whether it's bubble, bop, AMS, pretty much anything, we're going to just immediately run. So that's number one. Number two, when you're running, the reason you're running is because they pop a cooldown. And the cooldowns that are very important that you need to track are, of course, bubble, bop, both trinkets. Those are the 4 cooldowns that are the most important to track. And if they don't have any of them, you can set up a go, double fear, or gouge into fear or whatever, and kill the other one. It's pretty easy when you're healthy and you've gotten those 4 cooldowns out of the way. Another one that is very important to track. Sorry. Another one that is very important to track is Death Grip. If the DK doesn't have Death Grip, you'll be surprised at how easy it is to kite them. Normally we're running around a pillar just constantly, as you'll see, but if the DK doesn't have Death Grip, then you can run pretty freely in the open, and their damage is minimal. Oftentimes we'll try to bait the Death Grip and then immediately CC them, such as gouge, stun, disarm, whatever. And the reason for disarm, just in case people aren't aware, is that they cannot use their like melee abilities when they're disarmed, and so they can't drop desecrated ground and kind of slow that area for the next 10 years. They can still, of course, Chains of Ice, but that can be dispelled by the priest. So that's number 2, track their cooldowns. Number 3, the DK has to be controlled. Your Shadow Priest can out-heal a Preg Paladin just constantly hitting him. It's not that big of a deal. You'll last plenty of time if if your Shadow Priest is forced to tank the Preg Paladin for almost the entirety of the matchup, he'll be fine. But the DK obviously is the killer, and he is the one that slows you. The Preg is just kind of like a auto attack, keep people alive. Now, obviously, if you can control more than the DK, that's really good. You need to control the DK is the number 1 priority. The Gargoyle is the number 2 priority. The Preg is the 3. And if somehow you have extra capability, then the Ghoul, throw a shiv on him. That's pretty valuable too. So that's number 3. That's the control priority. Number 4, try not to use Kidney Shot unless if the Paladin is able to freedom. Either cover it with silence or just don't use it, because a slow DK, even if he's unstunned, is less lethal than a DK with freedom. And of course, if you just waylay him, the Paladin's not going to freedom him, because if he does, you can stun him. So oftentimes you'll see I'll waylay him. The Paladin will be kind of, like I'll have just cheap shot gouged the DK. The Paladin will be trying to follow my priest, and then I might waylay him again and just focus step to the Paladin and just get out. That's kind of my tip number 5 is abuse waylay, which obviously you should have that as a talent, so that when you backstab it slows them. It's not dispellable unless they freedom, and they're not going to freedom, or you could stun them. Number 6, the rogue is the person who's really responsible for kiting. The Shadow Priest just needs to run and run and run, keep you guys alive, dispel. But the rogue needs to be setting up a lot. So, you'll see that this matchup is pretty make or break based off of what the rogue does. Obviously, the Shadow Priest control put himself in a bad position, but really the Shadow Priest should just be running, healing, fearing, and then maybe doing a fake go until they pop a CD, and then you just repeat and run again. And the last tip that I have is when you're kiting, you have to run with your priest. It's one thing to cheap shot gouge the DK, and then the priest runs away and he's safe, and you stay back. Now you're dead. So just get out. But yeah, with that, I'm just going to hit play. I will add some commentary where I feel like it's valuable. Maybe a little bit less so with some of the older ones, but with some of the newer ones, yeah. This first game is an older one, so we aren't using as much of the strategy as I just talked about. But right now we are just trying to survive, since we obviously have the Paladin Trinket, Freedom, Bop on the DK. If we can get away, we're in a pretty good spot. Keep in mind the DK has used grip here, so my priest is, okay. I just kind of need to keep this guy slowed while the priest just runs around. This is an older one. Most of half of these are, but you can tell because it's very important that we run to the boxes to do the strategy that we use now. So because we ran a little bit far away, it was a little bit rough right there, or it could have been dangerous right there. And one thing you'll probably notice too with some of these games, some of these older ones, is that if we're not next to a pillar and they get a lot of, we get a lot of CDs, but we're kind of stuck in the open, we'll often have to use disperse to get out. And then you'll see us kind of dipping low, and that's when it gets a little bit scary. And really, you want to play just ultra safe. So because this is an old one, we were a little bit aggressive when trying to kind of figure out what to do. But now we're on the pillar. Now this is, more of the normal what we should be doing. Another tip I'll just be adding these as the video goes on. You'll see that we're often trying to open with a sap on the paladin and then a cheap gouge kidney on the DK. The cheap gouge really is just to set up so the Shadow Priest is max range. If he can get all of his dots on him, then you can actually do a pretty good go at the beginning. Most of the time, DK Preg will use some kind of CD to stop the go, and we just immediately run away. But in this case, and I think there was a game before, they allowed us to fully set up, and we're able to get a lot more CDs that way, or sometimes even kill them. The DK Lichborn's here, bops, Cressida instantly shackles him. He plays with the shackle glyph, and we're just trying to set up and get away right now. I'm able to kidney because the paladin's in a fear and he didn't, he's refusing to bubble, so that's a good time to kidney. They get a little bit greedy. We're able to kick the holy light that he needs to do. Now he can't cast any other heals. So sometimes you can apply the principles differently, but generally it's good to just kind of follow them and just play safe and do repeat goes over and over again. Nice little bug right there. Here, we're just trying to kite out this IBF. So Crest is just kind of running, and we're just going to run away. We got the Pally Trinket. We got the DK IBF. I make a mistake here, and I kidney. I should not have kidneyed there, because now the DK's got freedom, and now he's a little, able to get some uptime. You'll see whenever I make a slight mistake are the times where it's a little bit more dangerous because just a few seconds of uptime, and they can kill one of you. So, once we get the grip down and when we get Cressida peeled away, everything is pretty safe again. But you just cannot allow that uptime, and you need to do your best not to make small mistakes like that. I tried a gouge here before. It dodges, disarm, blind, a little bit of an overlap. But once again, we're in the open, and so you kind of have to use quite a bit of CDs to make sure that you get away. I saw the DK was about to grip there, so I pre-gouged it. Now my priest is at a pillar, so we're safe. Once again, kidney, probably shouldn't have kidneyed that. It turned out okay, but just as a general, shouldn't have done it. You look at my priest's health. That freedom allowed him to connect in that few seconds of uptime. Cressida dipped to 20%? Wouldn't have really happened if I didn't kidney there. So very tiny mistakes can lead to devastating consequences against this comp, unfortunately. A kidney here because of freedom, and we want to do some damage. Once again, though, just a few seconds of uptime. Priest almost dies. We got bubble there, so we're just going to run. Here we're kind of applying these principles. I just waylay him, trying to bait the grip. Double fear, you got to stop attacking. Full peel mode since the gargoyle's out. He's about to grip here, and I just gouge it instantly. Pally makes a mistake and freedoms him, so I can kidney. We get bop. But Cressida really, your Shadow Priest, even if maybe you guys want to dispel the bop, it's better to just run. Because if he bops, obviously he has to get in line. So I make a tiny mistake here. What I should have done is blinded the Pally and gone on the DK. And you'll see once again that just small in the moment mistakes almost kill me. And really, you should just never overextend, unfortunately, against this Gump. You think you want to kill them, but you have to have like both of them CC'd and be healthy in order for you to win more cleanly. This is a little bit better. I sap the Pally. The DK uses a CD, and I wait a little bit before trying to CC him. I want to really try to rot their cooldown as much as possible. Yeah, once again, just waylaying and running. If he freedoms him, so he can't dispel the waylay without freedom. If he freedoms him, I kidney him. I see he's about to connect. I have to go help. Kidney, mistake. Now I'm just kind of shivving everything because I'm panicking. But Cressida knows, just run. So at this point we have both trinkets. We just got the Pally bubble. So as soon as we, the Pally, we can CC him in a second. We're just trying to, get the gargoyle down. It's too dangerous with the gargoyle up. So what we're going to try and do here, I'm sure, is get Cressida healthy, get some mana, double fear or something, control them, and then do a go. Yep, so I stun this guy because he told me he's gonna fear off. They have nothing to get out of it. Try to let the double fears sit all the time. The DK had red sack on him there, so you have to wait until the priest dispels. Otherwise, if you cheap him, the Pally's free too. So just kind of watch these things. I'm trying to run up so that when the gargoyle is summoned, we can just run down. I shiv the gargoyle. I don't see that many people do it, but it's actually incredibly valuable. That Vanish probably looked pretty troll because I didn't have a shield, but I noticed that the DK had a grip and was getting out of my gouge, I think, or some CC, and so I vanished there just so that he wouldn't be able to grip me. I just needed that 1 second, because if I get grip back, all of a sudden we're in danger. So we notice, okay, I want to get a re. These guys are both double feared. So I shift the ghoul and I just re-stealth with the shield on and I say, hey, we can run, they're far. Let's go up. You're just trying to drag out the time, wait for that perfect go when they have nothing. Pally drops combat, so I'm able to sap him, and he has no way to get out of it. He freedoms, of course, but that's fine. We're able to get double fear off. Fear him out of the AMZ. And he just goes down. DKs are squishy when they have nothing. But they have, the issue is they have so much that you just kind of have to whittle it down. So runes may feel more difficult to kite on, What we do is we just run back and forth between the rooms. Just cheap gouge run. Cheap gouge run. Here, because he's dotted, I'm not going to gouge. I'm just going to waylay and just kind of see. The paladin's trying to, he's watching. He knows that I want to kidney. Here, it's too dangerous, so I just cloak vanish, Cressida shields me, and we just run. We've gotten gargoyle, we've gotten bubble, and all they've gotten is, I guess they got my vanish, but that's okay. Just trading CDs until they have nothing. And getting the DRs down. Now the DRs are down. We're going to try and cross again. Same thing, cheap gouge. He's not going to get far enough when the DK has grip. So I call for a silence on the pally. I kidney him, step to the pally, shiv everything, we run again. What you're trying to do once again with going to the rooms is just DRs. You just need to be able to constantly run. Get the DRs down. Here's a double fear. Now we have the Pally's bubble and trinket. So he has no other CC, get out of jail free cards. We get pretty much the last stuff. I get away again. He breaks it out. I didn't see exactly how. I know he has grip, so I'm calling for Cressida to dispel instantly. I gouge and I'm just running. Cressida is just mashing dispel. But we see, hey, we've got fear. They've got nothing. Let's just kill him. Okay, I guess I ended it early. He dies right there. Deadly Throw is also your friend. He freedoms it. It's a mistake. Now I'm able to stun if I want. I still don't want to extend, though, if I don't have to. But, we notice we have a good go. We can get some CDs here. We get double trinket, or we get trinket and DSEC. And we say, hey, that's good. That's a good trade for dance. Cressida doesn't want to trinket that. So you have to protect him as the rogue. Once again, it's the rogue's job to protect. The only the only CD they have right now is a Bop, but the DK doesn't have grip, and so we're able to go pretty aggro here. I added it a little bit early, but once again he died. I see the DK wanting to grip. I vanished cheap shot slightly too early. Kidney shot slightly too, I think. I don't know, my brain wasn't working here. But I wanted to show all the games just so you could see, we make mistakes all the time. And how do we recover from them? So right now we need to get away. We need to go back into the other room. It's not that dangerous if they're playing this range game. We probably should have run there. This is probably an older game. I accidentally pulled up my Windows tab. But yeah, see, now we're just getting away. If he grips, I have to help. So they bubble and bop, which is like nothing I can do. So Cressida dispels the bop. I blind him instantly. He trinkets. I gouge. I'm going to deadly throw here. He's probably going to get the grip. Yep, he gets the grip. So that means I have to go back and help. Vanish and repentance. We're just trying to get away right now, using basically as much as we need to get away. I don't kidney this time. That's good. So he can't freedom. He freedoms him now. Bit of a mistake. Just kind of shivving everything, using whatever I have. Once again, the pally, you see, we're just letting the pally hit us. Don't care. We just cannot let the DK hit us, except for the double fears. I troll myself there. This is dangerous too, because sometimes your Shadow Priest will want to run, and he has to keep in mind that once the DK is on him, he's not going to get away from either of them, and so he needs to get to you. Well, this is one of the few games where we go on the rep because we notice he's got nothing, and we CC the Paladin. I guess that is the last game that I have recorded for now. I don't record all the time, but yeah. I hope these helped. Once again, not the best games in the world, but just kind of wanted to throw some out there so that you guys could have something to look at and think about. Hope you enjoyed.